Hey there, boys and girls. This is week 3, day 3, reading mini lesson. I'm Mr. Hall. Pardon me. Sorry about the awkward pause there. I had to cough. So for our lesson today, what we're going to concentrate on is the language that the author chose for The Journey of Oliver K. Woodman. And when we talk about language uses, there's two that we're going to concentrate on today, and one is formal language. The other would be informal. Now, when we use formal language, it all has to depend. This all depends on the audience that you are addressing when you're using this language. So formal language is very precise. It's also, some people will say it's elevated. And by that, I mean, it's like if you were speaking to the king or queen, or if you were speaking to the president of a company, or to your boss, or to a principal, or even to some adults, you're going to use more formal language and more precise. You'll make sure that everything is exactly what you'd like it to say in a more elevated way. And for formal language, we're looking for something that's very precise and elevated. We talked about it sounding like you're speaking to royalty. It's also the language that many people use in academics. What I mean by that is like in education. Oops, I spelled education wrong. Let's fix that. Good thing mistakes are allowed. In education, it's a very elevated, usually incomplete. You will hear people speak in a complete sentence. The words that they choose to use are more advanced vocabulary. So you'll see it's more advanced vocabulary. Now, let's contrast that over here with informal language. So informal language is very relaxed. And you'll hear slang. So you'll hear things like, dude, I can't believe you did that, or whoa, check that out, or oh my gosh. Or if you don't understand something, you might say, I don't get it. Like, these are all examples of informal language. So in informal language, you might say, I don't get it. But in formal language, you could say, I'm afraid I don't quite understand what's being said. Do you hear the difference? So they're conveying the same message. However, how you say it is completely different. Also with informal language, you might think of, maybe this also includes like texting, right? So if you're going to say like somebody is great, in texting, you would go like, you are, with a number 8 like that, you are great, instead of, I think you are wonderful. It's definitely different between the two. And informal language is usually between friends. And usually informal language is also, sometimes informal language is also used in families, around families and people you're comfortable with. It's informal language is also sometimes called street language. Now, when we talk about informal versus formal money too, or formal language too, sometimes formal language is also called the money language. So if you are working like at a business, or if you're working for like a doctor or a lawyer or one of those type of environments, you're going to use much more formal speech. And so that's just to kind of get you started. So let's take a look from here on our language here. We'll leave this up for just a second. And let's take a glance at your packet in Oliver K. Woodman. So when we take a look at our packet, we're going to be digging through it. It'll start off vocabulary definitions, but as you go through, you should find this page here. Now, this is one of our big reading standards in 3rd grade. It's 3.9, and it has to do with author choice. And I'm just going to move my tree map out of the way here for a minute. So the directions are: write if you believe each letter was written formally or informally from the text The Journey of Oliver K. Woodman. Include evidence as to why you believe that letter is written that way. So remember when we talked about our reading strategy this week, and we talked about analyze and evaluate? So you're going to analyze the language that the author chose, and then you're going to evaluate why you believe the way that you do. So informal language, here's some more additional instructions here. Informal language may contain slang, shorter words, sounds like a person is talking, like you're talking to a friend. So you might see words like hey. And formal language, longer forms of words, like you're talking to a teacher or a principal. For example, it would be a pleasure to meet you. So on page, you're going to look at the page here. So on page 279, if you look at that page, you're going to see that the author, the example they gave, they're saying that the author is using formal language there. And then the evidence is the writing is formal since longer words are used, and the letter contains all the proper parts of a letter. So it's very detailed. So on these pages, you will check these pages on your own, and you'll list whether you think the letter is formal or informal, and then you'll give evidence as to why you believe that way. This should be fairly straightforward for you. As you can see, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages to take a look at, and to analyze, and then to make sure that you're supporting your evidence. As you're writing the reasons why you believe that, your evidence, please make sure that you are writing in a complete sentence. Thanks, friends.